Blizzard, we need to talk. World of Warcraft development is clearly broken. Okay, I don't know what the hell happened with 11.1.5. I don't know what's been happening with all these patches. And the thing is, 11.1.5 is being drip-fed to us. We didn't even get all the content, and the content we got was broken. Something's clearly wrong here. And we need to talk to Blizzard. We need to figure out what the hell's going on. Is PTR even a thing anymore? I have no idea. But let's see what Bellular has to say about the current state of WoW and why it's kind of broken.
So today, this was supposed to be a normal edition of the weekly news. Instead, we've got to have a bit of a serious talk. If I was being a bit stupid, I would call this video Content Cop, patch 11.1.5, because man, this is a bit of a mess. So, the What's New screen is there when you log in. It promises you with new content, a breath of life, a fresh one into the game, and all that good stuff.
Oh, I love tea.
But not
I'll
this
get that.
time. This week has been an absolute disaster in almost every way possible. We've seen game-breaking bugs, a nigh unplayable patch day.
See ya, Josh.
It's really bad. The big new event that Blizzard, I assume, put effort into and marketed the shit out of.
This is the thing. This event is really the entire patch so far. Like, this is all we get. So the fact that the main piece, like, I would understand if some side quest or some random thing they added into the game was broken. But for the main thing to be as broken as it has been, that's kind of alarming. Like, what were they testing this entire time? There's no bosses spawning. Loot doesn't happen. I don't know how else to explain this other than it's been broken. It really has been. And the lag, man, the lag in the game has been so bad. Just even beyond the event, it just got worse since this patch hit.
This is ridiculous, and it's soon becoming, or I mean by now, it's enough that you can't plot a trend line. This is kind of the new normal. And it needs to stop.
Sounds good, War Arrows.
It's gotten really bad. And here's to the people helping me keep the lights on, our sponsor, Pork Bun. They were named the #1 domain registrar by USA Today from 2023 through to 25. And if you've ever dealt with the usual suspects like GoDaddy, you'll soon know that Pork Bun is way less of a headache. They've got crazy low prices on hundreds of domain extensions. Yes, you've got your classic ones like .com, but you've got more modern options like .dev, .pro, .xyz.
No, Lano, actually, the whole screen freezing thing that wiped us on one of our raid polls last week turns out to be like a real thing. Like, people's screens are freezing.
It's haram, bro!
Yeah, it turns out people's screens are freezing. Like, that's a real thing. 10-second sudden lapses in the game. It's happening to a lot of people.
SSL certificates, web and email hosting trials. Basically stuff you really do want, but that others use as a sneaky upcharge. Their site is super clean, it's super easy to use, and their support is top tier. It's real people, 365 days a year. They have got more 5-star reviews than anyone else, so if you are building anything online, Pork Bun makes it easy and affordable to get started. Plus, you'll get $1 off your next domain with the link and code in the description.
There it is.
Big thanks to Pork Bun for supporting the channel, and let's get to the video.
Nightfall's haunted.
First things first, Nightfall. Are you enjoying your 15 minutes of desperately trying to tag mobs because objectives won't spawn? Yeah, if you're confused and you just sort of think, what's going on with Nightfall? Why is it like this? Well,
this happened to me live. You guys saw me. Like, I was standing with all these people in, like, the spot where the mob was supposed to spawn, and it just wasn't happening. You guys remember that? The first day I did this? And I was like, what's going on here? Did we mess something up? Is something that doesn't make sense? And it just took a while. And then the next mob spawned. It was like this weird event that things didn't go right. The name is what they do are ridiculously discoordinated. I don't know what's going on with in terms of the objectives in the Nightfall thing half the time. I think sometimes the objectives weren't showing up for me, like on the side. So I wasn't sure what we were doing, but we were just killing shit and getting things. Overall, the whole thing was broken to a point where I was confused as to what was going on.
It's not supposed to be. You're supposed to have little sub-objectives to go and do, just like time rifts and other stuff, like, say, the Tuskar
I didn't know what the
suit.
objectives were.
In fact, we've had problems like this before. Namely, with the Tuskar suit. 2.5 years ago, we were complaining about the community soup event in Iskara not properly giving out objectives, right? Those are the little tasks that you go and do during an event, and now that same thing is happening with the Nightfall. And guess what? It also happened before with time rifts, and if this trend is anything to go by, it'll probably happen again in Midnight. It's ridiculous, and it's left the event not functioning, right? And that leaves an awful first impression, and those impressions matter. If people are marketed to come back, especially if they've spent money to do so, and things like this are busted.
I hope nobody came back for 11.1.5. That's a tough one to come back to. I don't know.
Not tell them.
Instant
And
regrets.
this is becoming the same problem every time. Blizzard do not design their world events for the number of players that do them. They just keep on doing the same thing and expecting different results, which, yes, as people will commonly say, that's the definition of insanity. It's just a really stupid situation. I mean, even when you are just trying to grind out mobs, those mobs have got health that's often scaled for, like, solo people content, not a situation where you've got 40 people who are there killing stuff. We're in an event that is supposed to be us pushing back some brutal invasion by these die-hard Saraki loyalist people. What's the gameplay? Well, the actual gameplay is just pray to God you can hit an ability fast enough to catch a tag before the mobs die, and there's basically no mobs for people to kill. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I do enjoy being part of the giant death ball that is New World events where everybody's there killing everything at the same time. I like that feeling. It's a cool MMO experience. You got everybody in a zone doing things together. So I don't expect any mobs to hold up to a giant death ball mob. It just doesn't make sense. We're too powerful for that shit. Maybe some world bosses can hold up for a while. But overall, I don't mind mobs getting tagged down too quickly. I just think people, in general, if you're in the area killing shit, you should be maybe getting credit for it, other than just trying to always tag shit with AoE abilities. But I don't know how Blizzard fixes that. I don't mind it. I'd rather just the event work properly. I don't give a shit about tagging things. Eventually, I'll get the kills.
Ridiculous. And this time the event's honestly even worse. People are reporting that the event is literally breaking. As an example, on Thursday night in our server, it was stuck for an hour because the boss just...
Right, mob density would be a better thing to scale. I agree, Cam Shady. I'd rather them to have more mobs than mobs that are more have more health, because that shit's ridiculous. Just give us more of them to kill.
Didn't spawn. And that's not even to mention how Hallowfall lags beyond belief when players flock to it, something that we've seen as a really big problem in Undermine as well. Fighting a boss is not fun when you just cannot use your abilities. Everything's on like a 3-second, lag madness. It feels awful. And you just end up slowly, like, doing a third of the DPS you should while a boss dies, and you don't really have any engagement in the mechanics at all because it's basically non-functional as a video game. This is just broken. And of course, if you're lucky, you can still progress, but it's not fun, right? Without objectives reliably spawning, all you can do is tag and hope for the best. And our whole thing with being in war mode, or at least on a different shard, right now doesn't really seem to help with that. It's frustrating. I mean, we did that guide video yesterday. Banging guide, by the way. Definitely use it whenever Blizzard inevitably fixes this event.
This whole thing was ridiculous. Switching characters on war mode and not war mode to tag mobs at the same time on two different characters.
Works as it should. But right now, all we can do is wait until Blizzard fixes this. And of course, by the time those fixes come, first impressions will already have been formed. And the bad news for Blizzard is there is far more broken than just the, main day one feature.
99 bugs on the wall.
You may not have noticed this, but the Liberation of Undermine is broken. Not massively, but raid renown shot up for some players for no reason, letting people max out their renowns and giving them all the rewards, like the mount, the teleport, and all that stuff, for a while until it was fixed. Even things like the damage and healing buff were impacted. The raid skip was also broken on launch. It appeared to be straight up removed. Blizzard did patch it back in fairly quickly, but that's not a good experience. It shouldn't be like that. And Blizzard didn't patch it in as quickly as people noticed that their great vaults were also broken. Because
it could be the whole thing that just a 20-year-old game just has a lot of crisscrossed wires, right? Like when you first set up your setup for the first time, if you have a PC or something, you run that single monitor cable and then to your PC and you run it into the wall and you plug it into the power. You got your peripherals maybe plugged in and that's it. And then over the years, as you add more and more to your setup, you add those lights on the wall, you add a second monitor, a third monitor, you add that cool mini fridge on the side, you keep adding things to your setup, a printer, and then all of a sudden you end up with this tangled ball of wires that you don't even know where the hell goes to what anymore. And then all you want to do maybe later on is plug in your vibrator. All of a sudden, you've unplugged something else, you don't know what happened, it's all a complicated ball, you've ruined something. Now your printer doesn't print. Now something doesn't work anymore. And it's like, oh shit, I don't even know what goes where. And it's because over time, it's just become overly complicated to the point where everything is, it's hard to even understand anymore how things are going to be affected if you unplug something. So I think that's what's going on here. A brand new game, fresh game would be much easier to add stuff to than a 20-year-old game where you do something here and it breaks something here.
Because for a bunch of people, the Vault offered the same rewards as it did last week. Literally the exact same items. And worse yet, Blizzard said that they could not fix that retroactively, so if you got a busted Vault, too bad. Screw you for, putting time and effort
Maybe
into the game.
Shady.
That's bad. And this did get fairly serious as well. Some people found their characters were just not being found for an entire day. So, when you try to log in, it says character not found.
I'd have a fucking heart attack if that happened.
There you go. You just can't play for a bit. So that's bad. I mean, it's patch day, and your character just stops existing. Not convenient. So whatever Blizzard did here with this build is goddamn catastrophic. PTR is good for testing some things. It's very obvious now that PTR is not so good at testing other things because
yeah, well, I think part of it is like the player volumes. They're just they're never very good at controlling like understanding how player volume is going to affect a certain area or affect certain content. I don't know how. I mean, they have a lot of employees at Blizzard. We looked the other day at how many devs they have on these things. It's thousands of them. They need to figure out a way to get a bunch of people to log into a zone to figure out how it's going to affect the servers. PTR is always going to be a little bit hard at predicting this stuff, but it seems like they don't even test it. Because every time you get too many people in a zone, everything starts to crash.
We have had constant patches with major week 1 issues. And of course, the issues don't just stop here. Blizzard also...
and yeah, add-ons too. Add-ons are another thing that's very hard for them to predict. Now, I don't think Blizzard is to blame for add-ons breaking shit, because that's outside of, they're not making the add-ons, and they're trying to make the game better for you not to need add-ons. The problem is they added in this cooldown manager that has not worked for me in a while. I added it on, I checked the box, and then all of a sudden it was gone. I just rechecked the box the other day because I found out that Blizzard unchecked it for us automatically when it was broken, so now I had to redo it. But hopefully the stuff Blizzard adds into the game will work so you can delete some of these add-ons to not have these problems.
So somehow even broke the personal resource display, which just isn't displaying buffs anymore. And that's actually not all. That's not to mention build changes introducing some insane bugs to add-ons. This may have happened to you if you logged in patch day with the Opie add-on installed. Brilliant add-on, by the way. But if you did that, you couldn't click anything. Just couldn't. Every mouse click was blocked. And yes, that is an interaction with an add-on, so it is an edge case, and Blizzard's not fully culpable, but it's something that's happened to a lot of people, and it is not a good day one experience.
No.
And if you're a demon hunter, well, you were just nerfed for a few days. So, that's cool. But hey, serves us right for being flavor of the month. But yes, imagine you log in patch day, and there's an undocumented change that took a massive chunk out of your class's damage. That's what happened. Aldrachi Reaver's single target debuff was not stacking like it used to, which, takes a huge chunk of priority damage out of your AoE.
Fuck Demon Hunters.
This is fixed. But again, it's another thing that needed to be fixed. It's another thing that was broken. Another example, a harmless enough one, is the deep breath reticle for evokers being fixed, which isn't a major problem, right? But it is just evidence.
Is this supposed to be that big?
And
That's
look, development on a live game is hard, right? I don't know what network engineers run on, but it is special stuff. So I am sympathetic to there being bugs, there being problems, but this is too much. And it's not just this. There's also all of the chaos that Blizzard threw onto the pile, very much, of their own decision.
FPS.
How do you like FPS?
It's been a problem,
Would you like less of it? Because that's kind of happened. So in patch 11.1, Blizzard took the first...
So what I'm gathering from the internet and forums and everything is Blizzard added in this thing that's supposed to show how much add-ons are taken up from your CPU. Right, and it was supposed to help you monitor, okay, what is breaking your frames? What's taking up too much of your CPU? What's a big, heavy add-on that's really weighing down in the game for you right now? But supposedly this CPU tracker is causing CPU problems. I from what I understand, it's the thing that's supposed to help you understand what's causing lag is the thing that's causing lag. Funny enough, so I maybe that's what he's going to mention right now, but that's what I've been understanding from a lot of forums right now.
Step on a journey that's actually quite good. That I could say is to save your frame rate from add-ons, which basically was the add-on profiling. But, I suppose as anyone who's cracked open the profiler in, their development environment of choice, there was some collateral damage. The add-on profiler that tracks how much damage add-ons are doing to your frame rate and stuff, well, yeah, that they were doing a bunch of profiling. If you know anything about profiling code, you'll know that it's a fairly expensive thing to be doing. So expensive, actually, I mean expensive in compute terms,
causing lag.
that people were finding that their performance basically would drop with this on. And they would get an extra 20 or so frames a second in raids by turning the add-on profiling off. So what Blizzard did in this patch was to force it back on and remove the option to turn it off.
Ooh.
Smart. Great move. Fantastic. Yeah. Yes. Wonderful. I can see how this is helpful to everyone.
Instead of looking into it and trying to figure out, okay, why are people turning this off so much? They were like, yep, tape that switch on. Don't let them turn it off anymore. What's wrong with these children? They don't know what they're doing.
What gives? I mean, maybe people can fiddle around with CVARs and stuff to turn that off again, but this is pig-headed. This is very, very silly. You should not be doing this. I mean, WoW is an insanely hard game to run in raids and packed world events. I mean, Blizzard servers die. We get wacky stuff where, World of Warcraft runs on anything, but it doesn't run well on anything. Actually, fairness, runs pretty damn good on the Apple Silicon. Well, that's kind of besides the point. It's
a processor-intense game, so yeah, that makes sense. The Apple chips are pretty damn good. But besides the point, lag in game is deadly. I mean, we saw it just the other day. We were doing Sprocket Monger. I was tanking. I got the fireworks pack thing. I forgot whatever it's called. The backpack of explosives. And my game froze for 10 seconds. And guess what happened? I exploded. And my entire load all over the raid, we all died. Yeah. So it's costly when this shit happens.
It's just a stupid L that they did not need to take. And I wish I had a solution for you, but until Blizzard figures something out, the answer here is
Sam Affix
profiling on. Yep. So I guess uninstall your weak ors and upgrade your PC. Thumbs up. But guess what? I can do something better. I can make this a human interest story. So, Matt, of course, one of the fellas in our team, he's been having a lovely time. This stuff with performance got so bad that he just rage bought an 8900 X3D, basically the best gaming CPU on the market.
Damn.
Currently, his main hope is that this means he can record raid or dungeon footage of a high enough...
So, I mean, I had a moment of rage too, not enough to spend 450, pounds? I don't know what this would be in good old Americano dollars, but not enough to go buy a new processor. But what I did do is I went and updated the software on my graphics card and my PC and everything. I hadn't done a Windows update in a little while. I was like, maybe this shit is causing, because I couldn't figure it out at first. I'm like, why is my game lagging so much? Maybe my PC's out of date a little bit. So I went and updated all my software and everything. Didn't do anything. And then I started to see the forums coming out. I was like, oh shit, okay, this is a game issue, not a PC issue.
Raid or dungeon footage of a high enough quality that we're not ashamed of putting it in videos. But this is just silly. This is a needless L. You don't need to take away people's frames. I mean, if you look at, say, recent video Quasi did, like a month ago or something, on getting the best FPS in WoW, like massive views in that video, that shows us something. People are hungry for better performance in WoW. And bringing this all together, there's a goddamn simple question. What the hell is going on with this game? It has been multiple patches in a row of weird bollocks. So let's tackle that.
Okay, yeah, what is going on?
Obviously, without actually being in Blizzard, it's impossible to say directly, but there's a lot that we actually can say. This kind of patch launch is pure chaos. Some of these issues were in the public test realm, but not all of them. Blizzard clearly does not test properly. But that's something we've known about for years. However, the thing now is it seems to be getting much, much, much worse. If we look at the kind of content in this patch and the time gating, it is something, well...
Yeah, see, like when they did this, I thought, literally, one of my thoughts was, maybe this is going to make the patch rollout smoother, right? Because they're not giving us a bunch of content all at once. It's going to be like one thing at a time. Okay, it's all worked good. Now here's the next thing. I thought so. I thought this would be a smoother patch rollout. Could you imagine had they given us horrific visions and everything at the same time as Nightfall being broken and giving us dastardly duos too? Oh my God, it would have probably servers would have just been down for the entire day. I can't imagine what it would have looked like. So even the slower rollout caused problems. I don't know what Blizzard can do to test this stuff better. I mean, they do have the the NPCs, the follower NPCs that you run dungeons with now, and the follower raids, the story mode raids. Maybe they could use those bots to test more shit, to have more people in the zone at once. I don't know what the solution is, but clearly the way they're doing it right now isn't working.
I mean, basically, there's hubris going on. I know they have their 8-week patch cycle, their 18-month expansion cycle, and they
Maybe they're
feel
moving
that
too
if something
fast.
gets
I
delayed a
don't know.
month, it has a horrendous cascading effect. But they are not respecting reality. Reality matters because that's what your customers actually buy access to with their World of Warcraft subscription fee. Whenever you ask someone for money, especially if it's tied to something new, you really want that new thing to actually be good and be functional. That's not the case. The people who are making and locking into plans at Blizzard are not respecting the realities of software development.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Is like I saw somebody comment on one of my videos the other day. There's like they commented, "Oh, I always watch WoW videos, and I feel like this entire community hates WoW so much. Like WoW players always hate WoW." And this guy was like, "I don't play the game, but I just feel like these WoW players always hate the game they play." And I think part of it is because we play a monthly sub fee, right? Like most people aren't paying monthly to play a game. I feel like because we pay monthly, we expect more. And we expect something better, and every day we lose is a day that we already paid for that we're not getting access to the game anymore. So I think that makes WoW players typically more hypercritical of the game than, say, a Fortnite player would be a Fortnite, or a Minecraft player would be a Minecraft, whatever else there is out there. Because at the end of the day, if you're not paying for that day of play, you're just going to play something else until the game is fixed. Whereas WoW, we paid for 30 days to 31 days of game time, right? And we're going to lose it. We're going to lose some of those days because Blizzard fucked it up and broke the game. So I think that, that in and of itself just makes the WoW community more critical of their own game than other communities might be. What's up,
Which is
Acid?
what this is. They're also not
We
respecting
are
the
rating
realities
Kale
of
Sauce.
good game development practice, I would say. It very much seems that people just are able to pitch for whatever feature,
Right, it's not hating, it's just that we know we could be much better. Yeah, exactly.
perhaps for a patch, and because of time constraints, they choose an idea, they just go make it.
Mikey, thank you for the 16 months, man. Oh, man, 16 months of subbing this stream.
Probably not
Definitely
much room for, say, prototyping or having multiple
Minecraft
ideas,
does just
bringing
work,
them
true.
forward, each one for a few weeks, and then deciding on what to build. That's a larger problem in the scope of this video, but seriously, we are getting content that is making one think of slop, and that's not a good thing. Now, what you do notice is they have enough devs to make tons of art assets, right? They have enough gameplay designers to give us things like Nightfall, more importantly, to fix up horrific visions, to give us dastardly duos, all those things, all while working perhaps on class changes for 11.17. 11.17, by the way, on the PTR soon. 11.1, I think, was a genuinely excellent patch overall. It had a great raid, had great dungeons. They're handling Season 2 way better. There's fun enough new world stuff. Drive, I think, was really successful as an experiment. All this stuff while working on Midnight, while working on,
It's a lot.
The Last Titan. There's a lot of shit going on. They're busy. And by the time you watch this video, 11.17 may literally be live in the PTR. It'll probably have a bunch of newsworthy things. Maybe class changes, transmogs, whatever the new story is going to be.
Right.
That's great and all. But if this is the price that we pay, it is not worth it. And in this case, it's clear the problems lie in tech and testing. Now, it would be very easy to say, they fired all the QA. And I think some stuff like that did happen, right? There was bad stuff. But it's actually not just a problem with QA. QA is really important, yes, and it will find lots of bugs. But what really I think about is what is the state of Blizzard's automated testing? And look, maybe it's the case they budgeted too much engineer time over to player housing systems, right? That's all tooling in the engine. Maybe they've lost too many of their engineers, people with institutional knowledge, like, say, Orlando Salvatore, right? He's one example. He's mostly...
I know a lot of companies are going through this where they're losing a lot of institutional knowledge. You got a lot of people retiring, and they're trying to replace them by not by hiring anybody else or anything like that. Just, using AI more. And I think that's right. A lot of people are running into issues with that because it's not really ready for that yet. How do you replace somebody who's been working at your company for 35 years with AI? It's not going to happen. And then plus they've kind of treated the rest of their employees like shit. So you got a lot of turnover on the bottom end. So nobody's really built up the days of people working at a single company for 35 years. They seem to be gone. It's like people are hopping all over the place half the time because companies are hiring and firing half the time. So Yeah, I feel like a lot of this is an issue with like the AI transition, companies not being loyal to their employees. So you're getting a lot of movement constantly at the bottom, which means nobody's rising to the top over the years. It's multifaceted, multifactorial. Big words today, guys. In terms of like why these issues are happening in a lot of companies right now when it comes to quality assurance.
Known for making Classic possible. He was on the, the live gameplay team that was doing like your Plunder Storms and your, MOP remix events. But, he's gone.
Yeah, easily, right,
along with all
Cadence?
the
Yeah.
knowledge that was in his head. That's just one example. So it's obvious that under the hood, WoW as a technical product is struggling deeply. And we have no idea if Blizzard have any plans to solve it, or if they can solve it, and we haven't really seen them properly acknowledge this. Two final points, though. First, this is too regular. We all joke about how the McDonald's, like, McFlurry machines are broken all
Yeah,
of the time.
they are.
In this case, Blizzard, this is not your McFlurry machine. This is your fryers and your grills breaking down, so you can't do Big Macs anymore. This is your
True.
core product. This is really serious. The second point is, yes, they do almost pretend this doesn't happen. They are quiet as a whole. They'll address some specific bugs, but the overall elephant in the room is not properly being talked about with the community. And it's bad that as all of this happens, we get more store mounts, more consumption opportunities. They're happy to post a 40...
Yeah, optically it's bad. I mean, I don't think that the store mounts are the reason the game is not functioning properly. But yeah, it does look bad when people are like, well, you got devs over here making a fucking Raven mount for $30 and you could have had them working on this shit.
percent off sale, inviting players to come back and enjoy the XP catch-up event while they're putting some, ravens that you can buy in the store. All of this
By the way, cool mounts. I might do a giveaway for this. I haven't decided yet.
stuff, big business event. But guess what? That feels really, really tone deaf. And yes, we all know these are different teams, but you guys do your own milestones, and it looks bad to players when Blizzard as a whole is kind of just spitting at us. Because whenever you are doing more asks for currency, that's fine if it is being backed up with a good quality service. This is not a good quality service. This has happened every patch for the last while. It's actually seeming to get worse and worse. Patch day is not exciting anymore. It is assigned to do a little bit of...
It's not. I mean, honestly, I feel like all WoW players, patch day is no longer... It's right. It's not exciting. You pucker up so tight. All WoW players, they're like this on patch day. They're so scared that everything's going to break. And you're excited, but you're scared at the same time. You're like, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? What's going to happen? Our server's going to be down all day? I don't know. So, yeah, patch day has become kind of like the anticipation's killing me kind of thing because you don't know what's going to happen. But I don't envy WoW developers at all, or Blizzard for World of Warcraft development. I do think it's a very hard thing, and I don't claim to know how to fix it, how to make it better. All we could do is give them feedback on things and say, hey, guys, this wasn't good, and hopefully they try to figure it out in some way, shape, or form.
faffing about and then log out and wait, especially now with the time gating. And that's been our guild anyway. Like, as an example, the Oblivion remasters there. There's Expedition 33. I'm actually playing a lot of Minecraft in favor of World of Warcraft outside of raid logging. And it's because I could be doing this new event, but it's an awful experience. I'm not going to do that until it's fixed. And I'm just tired of this. And it's simply not a transitory thing. Like, at worst, this patch could...
I mean, I don't know, call me a degen or whatever, but nothing in WoW has been broken to the point where I've wanted to just go play something else. Maybe I've just been playing this game too long. Maybe I'm too loyal to it. I don't know. But I don't think anything has been so broken that I'm like, this game's unplayable. It's just been it's been things here or there that you're like, oh, come on, Blizzard. You could have done that better. Or you should have known this was going to happen. Whatever. Shit happens. Development issues happen. Testing issues happen. Hopefully they figure it out and patch days become a little bit smoother. But I wouldn't say anything in the game right now was so broken that I couldn't play it. It was just, there was problems.
It would have been a bit disappointing because of time gating and stuff. But this just looks incompetent.
A little bit of a doom loop.
That breaches
Yeah,
trust. Like, that breaches trust in a deep level. Because if you're good people who make a whoopsie, that's understandable. But if there's a pattern of behavior that suggests incompetence, that is more deeply existentially worrying. Because, well, incompetence kind of can't be fixed. You can't just do a total brain transplant, right? That shatters people's belief that it's even worth carrying. right? That causes apathy. Take the cooldown manager. We'll do a full breakdown of that next week, but honestly, it's half-cooked, right? It's half-cooked.
Yeah, but
We'll have ways.
I personally like it, but maybe because I wasn't using an add-on for it previously, so I enjoyed using it. I was sad when it broke. I was like, oh shit, where'd my cooldown manager go? I was just getting used to using this thing and then they got taken away. Now it's back. I played on Friday. The last time I played was Friday. It was working and it was doing just fine. I understand that it's, maybe people are going to say it's half-cooked because it doesn't do everything the add-on does, but add-ons are always going to do more than the in-game shit will do. But to me, at least, it gives you that baseline of cooldowns and all that shit just enough for a new player to be able to use it and find it to be useful. That's what I think you wanted to get out of it. Is it ever going to be to the level of an add-on? No, because the add-on's literally going freaking, oceans deep into this freaking feature, whereas Blizzard just giving you the feature, at a surface level. Just
to
enough.
Make the best use of it, and maybe one or two little light touch add-ons that make it even better, more usable, whatever. But despite all the chatter in forums and taking on feedback and solving problems, it's unusable for half the specs. It's straight out broken for some specs. And perhaps the most tragic thing, the real new feature, Horrific Visions, that's not out for a month.
Yeah.
Right? It's not out for a month. And guess what? Whenever it does
I'm
come
kind
out,
of scared for Horrific Visions. Well,
do you think
we'll
people
see.
who have just been treated to all of this are going to be excited? Maybe they'll just skip it. And that makes me sad because
I
it's
don't think
brilliant.
so. I don't know.
It's a bunch of game designers coming together and making a really cool game within a game in World of Warcraft. That's the shit I live for. It actually does anger me that those people's work, that game design, will be sabotaged by poor quality of service and what by now is obviously an unrealistic strategy. Things happen at 3 levels: the strategic level, the operational level, and the tactical level. I think they have a solid strategy. That's the expansion cycle being a bit more brisk. That's the patch cycle being a bit more brisk. And they can be good in the tactical level, like with Season 2, changing it week by week. But I think Blizzard's real problems exist in the operational level, because the execution of your tactics serves your operational goals, which then feed in to your strategic goals. If any link in that chain...
Yeah, I don't think their planning for this patch was bad. I think the stuff they added in was pretty good. I think we're going to get some decent content for a 0.5 patch to revisit Horrific Visions. The Nightfall event is fine. It's whatever it is, what it is. Yeah, it's just been on the back end. Just like crossing the finish line. Like they get everything here where they don't cross the finish line because the final steps are just not... They're fumbling at the very end.
Is broken. You do not achieve your strategic goals. And especially for people who are STEM trained, like myself, who naturally think in systems, who are naturally strategic.
I'm a
But
stemmer.
sometimes our heads get lost in the clouds. We don't think enough about implementation and reality. Seems that's Blizzard's problem. And, well, that's it for this special edition of the WoW News. There will be another one tomorrow. And look, you should arm yourself with knowledge whenever this is fixed. And that's why you should watch our guide to get the absolute most out of Nightfall, because whenever these fixes are done, with that guide, your progress will basically be twice as fast.
Yeah, be a degen, basically. I know a lot of you guys, there's people in the chat saying, they hate Bellular videos, they're too negative and stuff. The truth is, there was a problem in the execution of the patch. There was. It wasn't enough to make me unsub? No, and it's not. And I think, if Blizzard going forward can figure out how to roll these patches out a little bit more smoothly, of course that would benefit all of us. We would enjoy to play the game on patch days. For now, it is what it is. Blizzard got the feedback, and hopefully they react to it for the next patch.